All computer programs work with different types of data. As a result, a way of differentiating between these types is needed. This is why we use data types. They classify specific types of data, defining what kind of data, such as numbers, decimals, words composed of characters, and booleans, true or false statements, will be used. This ensures that the correct data is stored in its respective variable. There are several variable types in C. The most simple variable types that you need to know are int, float, and char. So let's go through them. Integers. These are common numbers like 1, 2, 3, -5, -12, and 1000. In programming, they're referred to as int. They store numeric values that are whole numbers. So to declare an int variable, I'm going to declare a variable called x of type int, and then I'm going to initialize that to 13. And keep in mind that this number can really be whatever I want as long as it's a whole number. Next we have decimals or floats in programming. They store decimals or numbers that have a fractional part to them, like 5.67, -7.67, and 0.003. And you declare them by typing float, in this case y, and then I'm going to initialize y to a float like 0.5. And finally, characters that are denoted by char. This data type stores single characters like the letters A, B, C, and they can be lowercase or uppercase. We can also store symbols like $, and %. So to declare a variable of type char, and we call char, and then we'll give it a name, in this case character, and then I'm going to set that equal to A. Now notice that I use single quotes and then put the character inside. When using char, always place the character between single quotes. Now, if we wanted to store multiple characters, like words or names, because C is not an object-oriented program like C++ or Python, where strings are considered objects, we have to define an array. An array is basically a series of characters. So we would use a variable of type char and give it a name, in this case, name. Then we use square brackets and then set that equal to the name. For example, Mark Smith. When using an array, we use double quotes instead of single quotes. Alright, now we're going to do an example, so feel free to follow along. In this example, we're giving the information of a student, and we're asked to save this information in variables and to print it in the terminal. Now the name is composed of many characters, so we're going to need an array for this, and so I'm going to create an array. I'm going to do char variable name, which is name, square brackets, and then I'm going to put the name, Ryan Lopez. Then we're giving 3 grades: English grade, math grade, and computer science grade. Let's start with the English grade. We can see that that's a decimal grade, so we're going to use a float for that. So I'm going to go float English grade, initialize that to 87.5. Then we have math grade, which is another decimal. So float math grade, initialize that to 78.3. Then we have a computer science grade, which is another decimal point, so another float tab. And then we set that equal to 98.34. Very high grade. Then we're giving a student ID, and so we're going to use an integer for that. So int student ID. We set that to 7834. Our last thing is the student dorm building, which is a single character. So we're going to do char dorm building, and then we're going to set that to B. Alright, so now that we have all the data in variables, we're going to print each variable, and to that we're going to use printf and the correct format specifier for each variable type. So for an array, the format specifier we use is %s, and that prints the whole array. Now we just have to put the name of the variable without the square brackets. So I will print the name. Let's make it pretty. And then we're going to move to the grades. So for decimal numbers that are float, the format specifier we use is %f. And just do and then we just put the variable name at the end. So we're going to do this for the rest of the grades. Now we're going to do the student ID. And for that, we're going to do printf. And we'll do student ID. And we're going to do the format specifier for an integer, which is %d. And then we'll type the variable name. Alright, and finally, we're going to do the dorm building, which is a char. So we're going to printf dorm. And for a char or a character, we use %c as a format specifier. Then we do the variable name. Now before we run, we want to use the /n, and this will instruct the compiler to move the cursor to the beginning of the next line when we print the text, and it will print each output in a new line. Alright, now that that's done, we compile. As we can see, each output's in a different line. And we can see that the English, Math, and Computer Science grades have multiple decimals. Now, if we want to get rid of some decimals, we come back. And here in the format specifier, we're going to do point and then the amount of decimals we want. I'm going to say 2. And we're going to do this for all 3 of the grades. Compile. Alright guys, that's it for today.